core big red button was picked up at level 20. They're like, let's go. Everything.
Yeah, and you know, even looking at that draft, I was sitting there looking at the Dahaka and was like, it's not going to, you know, probably get that much value throughout the game. To be honest with you, I sit there and still look at it and go, other than that ending isolation, I go like, was it really that needed within the composition? But we were sitting at the draft and everything alike and kind of going like, Team 12, I still feel like we can expect this level if they're just going to come in and dominate. And it felt like even the level 1 skirmish, I feel like if I remember properly, even went over to Gale Force Esports when normally you wouldn't even look at that. So it's just curious.
Well, no, that was the one where Jaina died right out the gates.
Oh, you're right. Actually,
yeah.
Jaina ended up going down.
So Team 12 was like, all right, we got started, and then that was pretty much the extent of what they got.
Yeah, only 3 other kills past that point.
This is backwards from yesterday, where Gale Force comes out, just bodies game 1 and 2, falls flat on their face in game number 3 against No Tomorrow. Now today, Gale Force comes out, first 2 games, they're like, look, we're still waking up. I don't know what happened. Game 3, they came out in the same fashion. They're like, oh, let's play both ends of the coin. I don't know what's happening here, but we got ourselves a series now.
We do have ourselves a series, and we'll see if it continues to be one as we look at the battleground here. Game 4 taking place on Towers of Doom, selected by Gale Force Esports this time.
Towers of Doom, you know, one of the most played battlegrounds for Gale Force, and they've been, you know, moderately successful, but so has Team 12 on this battleground. Yep. And in certain instances, Gale Force on this map has struggled, and other times they look really good. So it's a little bit of hit or miss, and I think it's going to be pretty draft dependent. You know, we haven't seen the Hanzo yet, but I think this is a battleground that lends towards the Hanzo a little bit more, so which team is willing to commit to that? And I think that if you're on the side of Team 12, obviously, you know, the Leoric pick, not as popular on this battleground anymore. And after that game, I love Goku. I love his play. I love a lot of what he does. But from the early part of the year, a lot of North American secondary melee players were on the Leoric train. Ask McIntyre. He hasn't touched it, I think, since week 1, where he went like 0-4 and died 100 times. And he acknowledges that. And then it was like after the first few weeks, people were like, this hero's not as good as some of the other warriors we could go into. So that right there, I think, has to be a focus in this draft.
I mean, it makes sense that Leo is in lower value. I mean, Leoric came to light when macro was at its greatest of strengths, right? And then he comes in, is dominant within the macro, doesn't fail too much in the team fight, but a lot of what his original kind of implementation was based off of that kind of value within the team. So, and we look at the games now, macro has died in terms of how much value it gains and like how much you need to be drafting around it, focusing, and that's where I'm going to get my advantage. And it's not like he's buffed his team fight too much. I mean, since the light quote-unquote rework, you know, you could argue getting the debuff onto the opponents and being able to limit that has made his team fight better. But I don't by any means look at it and just go, it's night and day drastically different. And the one tool that maybe it made him relevant died out.
I think the part that you're talking about with the wave clear and that level 13 talent, remember he used to get a lot more value out of it because it was double support and a hard carry on the backside. He didn't have the same amount of pressure against him, so he could get to that back line without the threat of dying. Now he just, well, he dies. Well, you know, you get that max trait value.
Team 12 taking a bit here to consider their ban. Going to commit to the Tyrael. That is a, man, never will I frown upon a Tyrael ban ever in my life. But it's one of those moments where you go with how low it's been prioritized, and then the fact that they were able to get it in the last game as late as they were, and then still willing to open with the ban against Gale Force does stand out as a pretty big question mark for me.
Well, maybe they're expecting to get the Maiev. That's the only thing I can think of now that we kind of see the bans. Maybe, you know, the Maiev kind of brings in a lot of people. Tyrael, you know, one of the few people that can get away from that. You know, Fury, his second most played hero coming in this weekend was that Tyrael. Obviously, he's a big Garrosh fan nowadays, as most people are. So we'll see how that comes into play, I think, as this unfolds. So they're spending a lot of time thinking on the Medivh.
I don't think there's any way this is not the Medivh. Again, we're talking Dansky. You saw him on Jaina. Have you watched his Medivh? Medivh ends up being the ban here.
So just to kind of throw this out there, Jaina's 3-0 in this series.
Yeah. But if she's first picked, not first picked, if she's going to be picked up before the second ban phase, I think it's only by first pick team. I don't think anybody is willing to Jaina plus Garrosh, right, in the 1-2 of the second pick slot. So if anything, that gives advantage to Team 12 with that kind of stat, you know, holding, if in theory, you know, Jaina's busted, or the key to winning between these two teams?
I don't see a first pick Genji here, and Biggie, no slouch on Genji. Michael Udall can flex over to that too. So again, a lot of flexibility on the side of Galeforce with their back line, where when we see Team 12, it's not as flexible. It's a more limited hero pool in terms of their flexibility. I think they both have very defined pools with little overlap. Galeforce has a lot of overlap on that backside, so you're never quite sure what you're going to get in their second range pick.
That was a lot of time for this first pick after what was a pretty predictable first ban on the side of Galeforce. We land at the Maiev.
I wonder if Galeforce would be, I guess, more inclined to say maybe we need to deny the Stukov, because the Maiev with the Stukov, obviously, you know, there's a lot of synergy there. If you want to go, maybe, I imagine one of these has got to be Garrosh, unless they really want to just wait for a Johanna to be kind of that soft counter.
I'm going to throw it out. It's Towers of Doom, so Dahaka Rise isn't priority a lot, but maybe still Blaze. We still saw already one game of Blaze with the response into the Malthael, into a Maiev. I still feel like there's a situation where we can get it. I guess it's probably going to be after the second ban phase if we do see the teams commit to it, but never mind the Garrosh Jaina. I said it. They're probably not going to be willing to commit to it, and they end up committing to it.
So whenever we want a hero, you say you don't want a hero, and we get it. Just like the Lili, and now we get a very early Jaina. And look, I'm on board with you, man. Like, this is not the usual. Sometimes I think Gilly used to put it best a long time ago, and it kind of became a thing. It's like when we get into tournaments, things like that, or certain series, you have this inter-series meta that kind of evolves in a very short time frame, and it's just kind of like a flash in the pan. Right now, Jaina is that flash.
Yeah. Yeah, she very much is. And also, I don't know. It's going to be why I originally posed that this isn't possible is look at the supports now. Galeforce is essentially put into a tier 3 support voluntarily by going with that Jaina. So this Jaina has to be worth whatever support choke they're going to be into at this point in time. We still see the high Tychus out of Team 12.
Well, you talk about the support choke. If they're going to do that choke, they needed to pick up a support here so they can ban that second one,
We
right?
have not seen a support not picked up for both teams before the second ban phase through all of Part 2. There's been 0 drafts with that. Like, I doubt this would be the one. Well, that's actually not true. Technically, we saw one go double supportless, only banned, and then we got more supports banned through the next rotation. But it's just, so, I didn't see any world where Team 12 goes, yo, we aren't at least willing to pick up one for ourselves in that moment in time.
I saw Tricked earlier go,
EU's done
Stukov,
some different
Ariel,
stuff, okay?
Gul'dan.
I haven't kept track of every European draft so far, but...
I mean, you want to talk about North American drafts. I would look on the other side of the pond and be like, yeah, not so much. Not feeling it. I didn't feel that draft. I mean, they're a good team, but sometimes, you know, they get a little bit
optimistic,
playful in their drafts. You know, sometimes when something's not working, you try and throw something out there, experiment a little. Maybe it's something that's worked in scrim results. So, I mean, it's not like it's an unpracticed thing. It's just certain circumstances. If it doesn't look good, sometimes you kind of try it once. It doesn't look good, you just kind of put it away forever. There's the
choke. And I still am going to pose the Blaze. I know now that we've made it second ban phase, with the Maiev on the other side of the table, have the opportunity to move in that for yourself. I feel like counter momentum has been a concern. You've already banned out the Malthael, which is a response to the Garrosh, which helps accent this off lane. If not, Sonya, I feel like it would be the go-to. I don't think that we're going to get ourselves a Leo this game.
I just have a feeling they're just going to continue the Dahaka trend.
You're probably right because it's Towers, and they were willing to pick it on. Let's be real. If you're willing to pick it on Tomb, you definitely are willing to pick it on Towers.
Genji's still available, by the way.
Oh, man. The only reason I want the Blaze over the rest is purely to get something to deal with. Oh my goodness, Maiev is warding caging. Because if you stop that now that it's at 100-second cooldown, she loses so much value. There's the Blaze. I am one happy fan right now.
Fan plays later too.
Yeah, he does. Next series, tune into that one. Maybe after this game, maybe not. We might get a game 5, but up against some of his old teammates even.
I just wish people could appreciate how good he is. Look, there's a lot of good players on Tempo, don't get me wrong, but it's like everything he does, I'm just in awe of. And statistically, he's one of the best in the world in so many categories, but that is for our series later. Something to watch. Don't miss out on a little bit of fan action in Tempo Storm and team. But right now, Team 12, you know, they got their damage with the Dansky and Cure pickups. Will we get the Dahaka Goku, or will we get the Sonya?
I wouldn't mind if we go with if there was Tyrael available, I'd say Sonya. But because the Tyrael's out, I don't like it as much. We see the Dahaka committed to. I want an ETC as that last warrior. Nope, gonna be the Diablo.
As good as Justin is on ETC, and it was his most played hero coming into this weekend, he just doesn't prioritize it. He's a very well-rounded tank.
I don't think it's just him. I don't like ETC has literally seen almost no play in all of NA Part 2.
It is a little weird, right?
It is almost none.
Are people, I'm just wondering, like, are people that scared to pick it into a garage?
I think that's a little bit of it. It's definitely more of a skill matchup with the kind of trade-off between the two, much like I would say the Tyrael is, but the punishment on the garage side is not nearly as high as it is for the Tyrael. But it is a little bit intimidating. Last pick legitimately can be anything that is not going to die to Diablo, and Maiev is the biggest thing. Tychus is already taken away. Greymane's probably the next best out of the backliners. Tassadar is too little. Is
Genji's
there anybody
the only
else?
other one.
I don't think Genji is something you can get away
still,
with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that he'd be the only one close.
I'm going with Greymane then.
Raynor.
Oh, you got him. It's the old Jimmy.
Dang it.
I did not think we'd commit to the Junkrat, mainly because it doesn't feel like it provides enough single target kill potential as they've, you know, maybe I'm not giving Jaina enough credit. She has enough single target burst that I think you can go with the Junkrat as the prep, her the execution. But Jaina then has to be very focused on her Blizzards because her Blizzard is her biggest, you know, executioner moment. And if she's prepping of Junkrat to get the long nades, then you're still going to have that, how do we end up confirming a kill? And that's the only qualm I have with Junkrat versus the Greymane. And also survivability, just as the only risk is like, will Junkrat be able to survive this? I would say probably. Concussion Mine, you should reliably be able to get out of the Warden's Cage, or at least buy enough time to make it not just a, oh, you're one shot.
If I told you I've been over here kind of the entire time, I said Raynor is kind of joke, as a joke. But I'm over here trying to, like, talk myself into it, right? Like,
I mean,
could it work? He has the extra range. That trait is amazing. But Relentless Soldier is something he has, as well as Taika. So if you do get stun charged by any of those, you get armor, you have a self-heal, you have Giant Killer at 13 to deal with a fatty stack Diablo. Like, that's what was going through my head. I'm trying to make the case for it.
I watched HGC Korea 2 weeks ago, and they said Raynor didn't even exist as a hero. Yeah. So I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, apparently not. The clip, I think, made it to the top of Reddit even.
Who's Raynor? It'd be so cool if he released.
He brings out a huge Hyperion.
Oh, man. Wolf and G-Clef leading up that HGC Korea. If you haven't checked that out, strongly suggest tuning in with some of those players and commentators. But here we are, Towers of Doom. What do we see out of Gale Force Esports? They committed to the Blaze, which I talked about some of the trade-off. It seems like it's going to be risky. I'm really going to be keeping my eye on B-Kid. It feels like he has been a deciding factor in all of these games, for better and or for worse, depending on which game you look at.
Goku. B-Kid's going to trade out there, though, so that's a Blaze for a Dahaka. And mind you, Dahaka did use his Brush Stalker to open up this game. So he has a long walk top, which is, I think, one of the reasons why you see Diablo. He's going to catch that wave, but they'll also need to work on their rotations to make sure they don't miss much more.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where ideally maybe you want to send a backliner up to it just rather than the Diablo because you provide no kill potential within the 4. But if Diablo can make his way back to this lane, right as Dahaka shows up towards the top half, you provide an extra kind of angle or advantage to get a gank. Every time you rotate to a different lane, you should be looking at not only information you end up giving, but more importantly, it's kind of how many opportunities does your opponent give you? And I think especially if you start mixing up your rotations from the norm of what you're comfortable with, you'll start realizing a lot of opportunities open up quick. Team 12 looking to open up one with these sappers.
Well, the thing I love about what we see right now from Gale Force is they've rotated Blaze down to the middle, and it was more just for the sheer of, okay, look, if Team 12 opts to invade with that Dahaka, which we've seen a lot of North American teams do, we have the short rotation for Blaze to make his way over. You don't miss out on a lot on the top. He was there more of like a secondary backup factor. He was like that fail-safe if needed. So Gale Force, they've been burned by this before. A lot of North American teams have before, especially when you're looking against going up against a team like Tempo Storm, who's done it quite a bit. see that early rotation to make sure you have that backup.
Sapper battle. It's going to be won here by Gale Force, but not heavy enough to be too concerned. Doubt that last Sapper is going to make its way up.
Biggie obviously getting that clear with that Blizzard. You can see Fury kind of hanging out there. Was seen, as you saw the pings coming out there from Team 12, warning that he was there. Blaze, again, continuing to just kind of rotate so far, getting the win in terms of the lane over Goku there on Dahaka. Haven't seen any Maiev attempts yet, outside of the very first skirmish.
Yeah, outside of that initial kind of opening. I mean, I will say part of that, I think, is the Jaina factor. Nice groundbreaker there. Fury finds himself a Buds. Malfurion taking the damage. Tether's going to pull back 2 members. No kill quite yet.
Resets
nice
on
knockup. Oh, but the damage coming in from Dansky is enough there after that shadow charge from Justing. Flip over onto Goku. There's a burrow, but I don't think he can make it out of this.
That slows too much. The knock-up as well from Fury. But yeah, you know, Cure actually got quite a bit of resets on his Fan of Knives and allowed Dansky to come in there. Very good teamwork. But the fact that Goku ended up falling at the end of that, definitely not what they expected nor wanted.
I was going to say, though, a lot of the reason why I feel like Cure's second-guessing himself is the Jaina slow and the threat that provides, because their all-in potential to get a counter is so good. Justing, kind of on the other side here, tethered onto Fury. He's going to eat a shadow charge too, Indomitable used, but he actually gets body blocked into the root at the end of it all. Fury unable to get a heal from Akka in time. Ends up dropping here over this bottom altar fight. Bud starts the next channel.
Dread, I feel that was like a bit of a misplay on the side of Fury because Diablo had already used his shadow charge and he needed a way out. He was looking for a way out. And because Garrosh was on top of him, you couldn't really play around that factor because Garrosh, you know, you try and play that. If Garrosh had stayed on him, you try to move, he's just going to simply toss you and knock you backwards. But the minute he committed that big toss and knock up over towards Maiev, it opened the door for Team 12 to just kind of turn the fight, and there was no threat for Diablo, and that set up a major kill potential there, which they were able to achieve for Team 12.
I agree. It does feel like, you know, maybe a bit out of place there for Fury, and not very common from him, especially, you know, keeping track of the cooldown and the tough situation Justing was in for a moment. Sappers are going to be picked up for GFE. Nobody able to make the invade, at least not within a reasonable time frame. Just going to keep up the laning cycle as Cure gets a good scout.
Yeah, pretty even start here. You know, hold on. Cure trying to lock down. Fury eating so much damage from Dansky there. He did go the bigger they are at level 4, so using that minigun to rip through that health pool. That's why he's so strong against the Garrosh, and why we've seen the Malthael ban so much.
Prostock in, coming out from Goku. They're going to try and find Big E as he falls so low. Dansky getting that auto attack damage, but it comes at the cost of Jaina there. Now Fury trying to cut out, got the cleanse, but it's not going to be enough. There he goes, a flip over. Oh, jet propulsion from B-Kid is able to allow Fury out of there. You know, that is just Garrosh. I don't know, and when his health bar gets lower, I don't know why. I'm like, oh, no, he's probably going to go down, but the answer is that just does less and less damage with every tick.
You know, one thing to also note for those of you that are wondering, obviously we're on a slightly different patch with some changes. One of the changes that we had to the Battleground, this is the Battleground, the Sapper camps that you see on the left and right of the screen and at the top as well. The respawn timer was increased by about 30 seconds, so the bot lane control is slightly different than what we've seen. We'll see if that does become a factor as the game goes on, but just keep that in mind that we are on the patch with the minor changes to the respawn of those Sappers.
The biggest impact that'll have is that bottom left, like half of the map is going to be harder to get converted, but when it gets converted, it might be higher impacts. Hold up, though. Big impact caught out by Justing. Throw down the Blizzard, but is unable to keep himself alive. Goku, drag, land onto Garrosh. Indomitable and, I believe, Cleanse were used there. Both stacked on top of one another. 4 shots now picked up for Team 12. Sending the core to Gale Force Esports down to 28.
8-point lead, not always the most condemning factor, but Team 12 seemingly has a bit of control. You know, despite the fact that it's 5 to 4 kills, it seems like Team 12 has maybe controlled the pace a little bit better, a little bit easier than what we've seen. And you can see Justin just kind of lurking, waiting for anybody to step out, see if he can get another kill and just, you know, kind of combo here. Fury's waiting in the bush. I think he missed the toss there, tried to get the combo going, unable to get so as the model just passed out of range.
Fury's so good that he literally practices without even, you know, his Fury combos without even actually giving the toss out.
You EQ no matter what, even if you don't land the E.
Dang right. I mean, when you hit as many ground breakers as he does and how fast he completes his level 1.
Oh, it's forgivable.
You can get it. Yeah, you can get away with it.
After what we've seen from Fury so far in this series, it's, you know, that stuff like that's going to happen. I mean, it was a mounted hero passing by, obviously. You can see the Sappers picked up here by both teams. Level 10 picked up. Do see the Water Elemental. Again, you know, we've seen a little bit of mix with that Ring of Frost Water Elemental. That will be good to control a lot of that. See a lot of frontline heroes between the Dahaka, Maiev, and Diablo. Maybe try and get some good follow-up damage on that. Some of the things that we've noted throughout the series. We've had a lot of Jaina conversations just due to the fact that this is our 4th game and with 4 Jaina plays. So not something we normally say.
Also into the Medivh Maiev, I thought we might see the Ring of Frost not as a, oh, look, we're going to get a kill, but as a just, hey, can we stop this for a little bit, slow things down, you know, and kind of freeze things out for a little bit there. Well, we'll see at the Welly. I mean, there's a lot of people who can dodge the target or dodge the Ring of Frost too on Team 12's roster, but without pretty much that big of cooldowns. But I am surprised. It does feel like a lot of the thought process with the Blaze, hold up, catching out the Malfurion there. Gale Force Esports, Fury going to get shoved against the wall. Ancestral does end up making it there. There's the bunker as the response to that Warden's Cage. Riptire goes out. Goku's the focus, but the isolation going to keep him alive, or at least Mike Udall alive for a little bit longer. Cure getting stuck between a bunker and Gale Force Esports is never a good time.
It's like, well, look, I know I'm going to die. I at least want to get a reset on my fan of knives here. Oh, you all disappeared. Well, I guess I'll just wait for you guys to come back out. I'm dead. That's pretty much how that sequence went, because you just kind of walk away. It's over.
Another fight won for Gale Force Esports. After finding that pick and that isolation, we are not having the full 5-on-5s like we normally have, though. But from either one of these teams, every skirmish is really just more of a catch-out at this point in time.
You know, I just expected, the fact we're 9 minutes in, I expected, I guess, more aggression with the Diablo Maiev and just trying to follow up and set up a lot of things, but it just hasn't come to fruition. I mean, the rotations have been, you know, they've been rough. They've been scattered, and that's kind of the hard part is it's kind of hard to get those simple rotations. You know, we saw the rotation down from Blaze, kind of making sure that, you know, it's not a 4v5, things like that. So right now we'll see, have another opportunity. Nobody's gained control of that bottom lane yet, so with the single altar phase, we'll see if we do get that 5-on-5 finally, Dread.
See when Blaze wants to make his way down. Seems like he's going to commit early, knowing that that brush stock timer will be available there for Goku. 12 seconds out. Sappers picked up for Gale Force. Not quite yet for Team 12. They aren't going to commit to it.
Can see Gale Force being the aggressor. Dansky already going in. Fury, he's got the 2-man taunt. No follow-up just yet, but now Dansky, he's being thrown back to Riptire. Already gone out. It's hit early because of that APOC. Now Cure in the middle again. He is under so much pressure. Somehow makes it out as the Twilight Dream goes off on multiple members there of Gale Force, and they are falling.
Akaface with the great Ancestral Healing onto Big Impact ends up keeping him alive for a bit longer, but there's the damage out from Goku. That swarm all around him, enough to get 2 kills now for Team 12. They're going to pick up 4 more shots. As Maiev does work here over those Sappers, making sure that they don't make their way in. 20 HP remains on the core of Gale Force Esports. Team 12 is not messing around here on Towers of Doom. First, you know, kind of all-in initiation and pretty confidently went in their favor.
That was a big play, but the concussion mine. Cure gets out. A timely play. Had he been locked down a little bit quicker, that E does not go anywhere, but he had enough time to get that out, so when the stun wore off, just presses E again, and he's back to safety.
Going to use this time to back out, get the Sappers. Nobody has been able to convert that bottom bell tower, but if Team 12 does get it in their favor, because they not only have that global, but we were talking about, you know, with the adjustments on the Sapper timers, it's not the conversion rate, but it's how long you can hold it will drastically improve. It'd be that much more crippling for Gale Force, but they're not going to commit to it here, at least without the heroics, not yet. 20 seconds out, and everybody will have them. Justing now trying to defend these Sappers. Gonna run into a nice Junkrat trap.
Down here again, Goku just misses the tongue. See if we see any bit of aggression. Pretty much even in terms of experience. Blaze rotating between that mid and top. Same thing, Dahaka is trying to match that as we have that 4-man. The threat of the 4-man is here, and if I think they see Blaze up at that top, if Gale Force steps out any bit, then maybe you can use that global and initiate. But instead, we are on our 5th altar phase, which means triple altar phase. we'll see how this plays out. It is 32-20, definitely in favor of Team 12, but Gale Force by no means out of this yet.
It's going to be how good of an initiation can Team 12 manage to get for themselves. Gale Force hasn't really been able to hold on, even with a pretty good use over the bunker in the last fight. It's just once the initial fireworks go off, Team 12 is doing a better job through the chaos, it feels like, than Gale Force, at least so far. Tahaka starts the top right channel. Blaze is going to match him on the other side. It's all about bottom. Dansky starts it up.
And they've got Junkrat. He's coming in for the flank. Does get the interrupt for now. You can see the body blocks trying to come in here by the rest of Team 12. Instead, body blocking him right into the wall. It's more of a body check as Justin goes in. Goku on the left side, Justin on the right side. They're all falling back, Tread.
Yeah, Beacon not able to hit the jet propulsion, but it's going to get a taunt follow-up. Riptire comes in, knocking Goku even farther back. Constant isolation and focus there on to Goku. And that is now a kill for Gale Force Esports.
Gale Force finds themselves so far down, 18-12, that I think this is the opportunity that they need to siege up, take control of this bottom lane, because they're getting so far behind that just taking these one-off team fights isn't going to be enough. They're going to have to start chaining some of these back-to-back, and this right here, major play for them. Junkrat, however, was showing, so Cure recognizing that opportunity. Now they're going in. Fury already gets the Ancestral receipt from Akaface, but he is isolated right now.
Yeah, and that icebox is going to be with no bunker opportunity available. Warden's Cage bringing it back twice there onto Fury. As he's getting body blocked to death. Tether's going to land onto him. Shadow Charge, another Shadow Charge there thanks to the 16. Justin claims himself a Garrosh 2-for-0 here. Punishment from Team 12.
I just got to say, the minute Junkrat showed going to the top lane, you basically throw out a huge beacon. It's like you're signaling the Batman himself. It's like, well, it's a 4v4 and you're fighting under our keep, under our bell tower. So now you open the door for them to come in for that fight. I think that was a bit of a misplay. I think 5-man sieging on that was not too bad of a call. Instead, they split 1-4 and essentially give themselves a 4-on-4 and an opportunity for Team 12 to take that fight, and they dominated.
You raise a really good point in the world of kind of shot calling from a thought process, you know, and a mentality to have. Hold up. Cleanse used on B-Kid from Akaface. Riptire going to go out to try and help keep this bell tower alive. He's going to rid of all the minions but the broccoli. Totem goes down onto Goku. He does have the opportunity to tunnel if needed. Well, he's going to be used even more. Keep up that slow. Somebody has to keep aid towards Goku now because that's a lot of cooldowns. Cure gets interrupted by B-Kid.
Gale Force fighting here. You know, it's 4-4 in terms of shots, but if 8 more are picked up, B-Kid throws down the bunker. He's going to survive for now. Justin looking for an opportunity, but Fury, he's got him locked in. That's going to be Diablo. He does have Soul, so he will be back. But on the back side of that, we get one channel in. Diablo will be back here. Look for him to use that portal to come in for this fight.
And that bunker was used before any of the heroics on the side of Team 12 were used. They still have the full Wombo combo. This is scary for Gale Force Esports. They need to be very careful. Cure throws out the Shadow. Not going to commit to the tether yet. Diablo looking to come through. Bud starts up this channel. Fury moves up. Indomitable use. Gets the interrupt. Hits a 2-man knockup combo now going on to B-Kid. They get the one-shot onto Goku. Big impact, keeping himself alive. Akka trying to get the kite out, keep himself up. Twilight Dream goes in. Damage onto Buds, but it's not there. Justin comes back in, gets the kill. Akaface is going to be tracked down with that spray and pray. 2 for 2 so far here, J-How.
Michael Udall continuing the assault into the fray is going to land him right there. But Dansky gets the trade onto Jaina there, and they are not done fighting yet. Fury gets the stun. The Riptire almost gets it. Cure somehow still surviving, but Fury continuing to make the ground play. Are you kidding? Fury is a monster.
I have no idea how Gale Force was able to turn that around.
Could one man do more?
No. Look at, I mean, there is so much to say. First of all, Indomitable, he's like, hey, I'll get the 2-man setup. A lot of pressure, as you see, on the B-Kid there. Akaface trying to keep himself alive. Big impact coming in for amazing play. But then Fury, from this point on, is just the man, the myth, the legend. The zoning opportunities, the control over this battleground. At this point in time, I mean, look at him just saving his team all over the place.
I mean, the toss, the level 16 upgrade, he throws into the fray, so Michael Udall gets an easy one there. But into the fray, or excuse me, the level 16, when you toss somebody in there, so this is the combo, you toss him in there, you get the stun, then you get the taunt. The Riptire still didn't finish the kill, but Fury made sure that he could do just that, and you can see Michael Udall hopping over there. But Fury, man, a god amongst men this weekend. I mean, obviously, still depends on team success, but dude is killing it this weekend.
I mean, I completely agree. Fury, I feel like, is oftentimes You know, other than the small time frame, I feel like sitting with Tempo Storm. I guess, you know, when he was on Gale Force Esports and they were sitting at their prime, they were also towards the top half. But even with this window of making the transition back towards Gale Force Esports in this roster, though maybe the team results aren't sitting at the same level that he's been used to over the past year, his personal play is still very much being shown that it's like this guy is nothing to mess around with here. Gale Force Esports are not giving up easy, and it's showing here on towers. Look at this collapse here from Fury.
This is the first time in 2 years he hasn't been. Cure taking the keep shots. He's going to be stunned. See if he has the escape. The taunt isn't available.
Taunt! It's not even going to be needed. Actually, I think at the very end, just went down to make sure he was able to get it. They end up getting the pick onto Maiev.
It's double shots now. I mean, we're talking 10 shots going in. So what was a 28-8 game is now going to be a 10-8 game. Justin, the Hellgate's going in, gets onto Biggie, but he's going to get knocked up. Fury there again. The APOC is going to be there. Justin making plays. Beakit comes in, trying to get the Savior is going to be there. Goku does have that essence, keeping him alive, and all of a sudden that Riptire instantly canceled, and Justin showing beast mode on that Diablo.
Dansky's Odin, though, just ripping through. Garrosh coming out, and now 10-15% HP, able to keep himself alive a little bit longer. 4 versus 4 left in the skirmish. The bell tower still being in favor of Gale Force Esports, so a risky escape path here for Team 12. So they use that broccoli to be able to maneuver through. They'll back out and be able to claim this for themselves, but talk about a miracle play there by Justin, getting that initiation all in. That was, I mean, it's not technically game, obviously, because even losing the shots, it doesn't set them back, but to gain that time frame and even just not give up, that was insane.
You know what the scariest part about that was? Is because he had the Hellgate, I think he could have maybe full comboed Jaina, but Fury actually got the toss-up on over him, and I think that forced out the APOC to make sure that he could confirm that kill onto the Jaina. Obviously, that's one of those things, you know, it's all relative at the moment, but the fact that Justin single-handedly went in and just kind of started body slamming everybody back and forth, I mean, we are seeing some of the premier tank play here in North America, and you could even argue beyond.
Goku scouting this out, sees that they're on the boss. Not going to commit, though, for Gale Force. 20 seconds out from this bottom singular altar. There are a couple of sappers down here Gale Force might want to start up for themselves. Tahaka questioning if he wants to mirror that on top, going to decide against it. Instead, pushing in. The sappers picked up for Gale Force. Now it's all about this. Odin, very early used.
Gale Force can't afford to lose too many members, because if they lose the fight, they lose the well, or they lose the altar and potentially the boss. See Junkrat making his way back, trying to find the poke that's going to be there, but Bud's continuing the channel, does get interrupted. There's the big root onto Justin, but he is so far healed, and now Justin making plays.
B-Kid able to keep himself alive, though, gets the Ancestral Healing. APOC's going to get the stun, but only onto one. Cure trying to get the Warden's Cage locked out, but unsuccessful. There goes the Isolation, hitting 3 members. A lot of damage going out onto the front, and there goes Maiev going down, but look at Gale Force. They're holding together, sticking, clumped up, going into this bunker, and they are thwarting Team 12 back from this altar.
This is insane play. Now they're going to turn their attention. They're going to try and get 5 shots out of this, take the core health of Team 12 down from 10 to 5. And I really wonder if they might try and do more to take more shots, because if they rotate up to the mid bell tower, which I don't know how exposed that is just yet, they could get 6 shots plus boss. I don't know where they stand yet. Right now they're holding off for now. Looks like they might turn their attention towards that mid bell tower. They're going for the home run play here, Dredd.
They are going for the home run here. Starting with, you know, that bottom bell tower, going to go for the mid bell tower.
Oh, it's going to be traded out, though. It's going to be traded out, though.
It's going to be, but only once those sappers are able to make it in. He's going to get the 6 shots in this time frame.
There it is. Down to 4 health is going to be that of Team 12. Still 15 seconds before Diablo is back. They're going for it. This is the game clincher right here. Buds does not have Twilight Dream. You see Dansky, he's going to be on point. The boss is down, Dredd.
Isolation goes in, automatically hits 3, but the concussion mine. Oh, but the boss is going to be blocked. Buds goes up, Fury gets the toss over. Going to lock down 2. Beacons now keeping himself alive. There goes the taunt. There goes the explosion. Goku, last man standing, and when it's all said and done, Gale Force Esports gets the miracle comeback on towers and send us over to game number 5.
I don't even know where to start with all of this, but the tank play for me is, whoo, Fury, my goodness.
It's
like, I don't know.
It feels good to watch.
Literally, I mean, obviously we got big plays from everybody on this team. Like, I don't even know where you could start to break it down. That was an insane game. They were down 28, what did I say, 28-8 in terms of core health. And then Gale Force is just like, we're not letting this go. Fury's like, we're not losing this game. Get on these big garage shoulders of mine. We're throwing down. Dude straight killed it. Rarely will you see that much of a streak from one player in one game, but dude is an absolute monster.
I completely agree. I mean, there was, from beginning to end, Fury was a problem to be dealt with, and obviously Team 12 was unable to find that answers. I think there was also a couple of highlights there, even though he went down a lot. Jaina, Big Impact, actually died 7 times the entirety of that game, but I feel like when he did get damage output, and especially at the later stages, it was when it mattered.
Oh, yeah.
And was really getting the clutch out there to get that kind of follow-up up from Fury. Everything on the side of Gale Force to keep into that mentally. It has been outstanding, but Warriors in particular are something that North America does not typically breed many of, and Fury is, I feel like especially after games like that, you got to be going like, one of us, you know? That's NA right there.
It all came down to him practicing the combo in that bush where he missed the toss over and got the groundbreaker.
Practice
yes,
like you play,
I'm sure
boys.
There was a few LULs maybe going around in chat at that point on that missed one. But I'd say that all of those are pretty much ignored after that. You know, I mean, early game, it didn't matter. He was just practicing, warming up for the late game.
And then now to be sitting in the pants of Team 12 here, you know, now knowing that you're going to be sent over to a game number 5. It is a tense one. It is a, you know, I honestly never even thought we would find ourselves in a game 5 between these two, but somehow it has happened. We are going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, Gale Force Esports and Team 12. I will never get these team names right. We started this series between Gale Force Esports and Team 12 saying, you know, probably going to be confident